What is up? It's Scott Tejerian from the Weekly Transit Astrology Podcast, back here with Samantha Dottin, my co-host, client friend. We're discussing sports and astrology. And in our first subject that we're going to be looking into is Aaron Rodgers. He is the quarterback for the New York Jets. He is a future Hall of Famer. If you don't know sports, that's what you need to know about him. He's one of the best that's ever played at the quarterback position in the NFL. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won 4 MVPs, most valuable players of the NFL. That's a very prestigious award. And he just moved to a new team. He had played his whole career at the Green Bay Packers, and now he is on the New York Jets. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at his chart, which, according to Astro.com, he was born on December 2nd, 1983 at 2:50 p.m. in Chico, California. So if we drew a line from 5 all the way across here to 5, that would give us the horizon. So everything up here in the top half of the circle is what was in the sky when Aaron Rodgers was born. Everything down here was on the other side of the earth. So since he was born at 2:50 p.m. in the end of fall, the sun, which is right here, had already risen to the highest point in the sky and had begun its descent. It was here in the 8th house in Sagittarius. So astrology is a language. It's a language that communicates how the planets and stars influence life on Earth. In order to understand any language, you want to begin at the beginning with the fundamentals. These 3 symbols right here are the root symbols of the language of astrology. If you understand these 3 symbols right here, then it gives you a better opportunity to understand all of these symbols down here below, because all of these symbols down here below are made up of at least one of these 3 symbols on top. So this is the circle of spirit, which represents your eternal soul, no beginning, no end. The cross of matter, which represents the 4 elements of matter: fire, earth, air, water. And the crescent of receptivity, which represents giving, receiving, teaching, learning. So in looking at the sun is 2 circles of spirit, symbolizing your eternal soul, no beginning, no end, and the eternal divine light that shines within you. The sun is the giver of light, life, and vitality. Wherever the sun goes, it brings light, life, and vitality. And when Aaron Rodgers was born, Samantha, the sun was bringing its light, life, and vitality to Sagittarius in the 8th house. So in order to understand the nature of the signs, you want to ask yourself 4 questions. If you know the answer to these 4 questions, then it gives you a clearer understanding of the nature of the sign. The 4 questions are: number 1, what is the element? Number 2, what is the modality? Number 3, what is the planetary ruler? And number 4, what is the symbol? So in looking at Sagittarius, what is the element? The element is fire. Fire is more extroverted than introverted, because fire is something that can touch you, but it's not something that you would want to touch. Fire can warm a room on a cold winter's night, or it can burn down the house. It's all how you're working with the energy. So for anyone who's listening out there, when we look at somebody's chart, there's nothing good or bad. It's all just a series of gifts and challenges. And it's up to me, it's my job as the interpreter of this ancient language to communicate to the best of my abilities the nature of these gifts and challenges, so that the ones that we're reading to can learn to cultivate their gifts and work on their challenges. Now, the modality of Sagittarius is mutable. When the sun is transiting through a mutable sign, the modality is determined by the time of the season the sun is transiting through a sign. So when the sun is transiting through a mutable sign, it's the end of the season. These are the stimulator signs. These are the signs that stimulate us to adapt, to evolve, to keep up with the changing seasons. These are the signs that are great at multitasking, but can feel a bit scattered with so much going on at once. It's all how you're working with the energy. So when the sun is transiting through Sagittarius, it's the end of fall in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it's the end of spring. Either way, it's the end of the season. So these are the stimulator signs, the signs that are stimulating us to adapt, to evolve, to keep up with the changing seasons. These are the signs that are great at multitasking, but can feel a bit scattered with so much going on at once. It's all how you're working with the energy. Now, the planetary ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. Jupiter is a cross of matter with a crescent of receptivity pointed out, symbolizing the possibilities that exist beyond your present reality. Jupiter is the god of thunder, lord of justice, the planet of luck and expansion. The symbol for Sagittarius is the archer. Here's the arrow of the archer. When I think of the archer, I think of Robin Hood, Katniss Everdeen, freedom-loving individuals that don't want anyone to tell them where to go, how to think, what to do, what to say. They know the difference between right or wrong, and they want the freedom to explore far and wide so they can expand their minds and deepen their philosophical view. So in thinking about everything that I just said, and thinking about what that means for Aaron Rodgers as a Sagittarius sun, well, Aaron Rodgers, what does he do for a living? He throws a football. Mm-hmm. That's like the archer pulling back on the bow and letting the arrow fly through the air. And there might not be a more accurate quarterback in the history of the NFL than Aaron Rodgers. The way that he throws that ball is like a pristine archer that, you know, is hitting the bullseye from 1,000 yards away, if that's even possible. I don't know if an arrow can go that far, but 100 yards away. But, you know, he just is so precise with where he puts that ball. But it's more than just the archer and the precision of the accuracy of him hitting his targets, but it's also the way that he walks through life. Anyone who knows Aaron Rodgers, who's followed him, who has listened to him on a podcast or follows him on social media understands that he's a very spiritual individual. I heard him say on a podcast that when he was in Green Bay, when people knew that they could find him at two places. I think he said it was either the football stadium or at the Barnes and Noble or the bookstore, you know, is where he'd just be sitting like reading a book. And he is a very philosophical individual. And when you think of Robin Hood is not just somebody who is firing off arrows, but Robin Hood is somebody who is very philosophical. Who's Robin Hood's best friend? Friar Tuck, the priest. Or the friar, if that's the same thing. I don't know. But he's a religious man, you know? And so there is a spiritual element to Sagittarius. Aaron Rodgers is a very free thinker. He's somebody who's talked about doing plant medicine and ayahuasca. You know, before he made his big decision to go to the Jets, he famously sat in a dark room for 4 days. And so, you know, he's deep. And he's very fortunate and lucky as well, which is that Jupiter energy of Sagittarius. So what is some of your reflections on that, Sam?
Well, first off, I noticed that not only is his sun in Sagittarius, he has 5 other planets in Sagittarius, yes, including Jupiter.
Yes.
So that puts a extra oomph on there.
Yes, exactly. He's got Jupiter, Mercury, and Neptune,
and Mercury, the South really,
Node, and Uranus,
right? So, and then Mercury, because I'm a Gemini, so I know a bit more about Mercury than I do about Neptune. Maybe you can help me with that part.
Yes,
but I know in terms of he definitely speaks his mind. Yeah.
Yes. That's right.
He's a truth teller.
He's a truth teller. He's a truth teller. He says things that upset people sometimes, but you know that he's always going to give it to you straight. Yeah. So yes, that's so let's conclude here, but we're going to continue talking about Aaron Rodgers' chart in the next video as we get deeper into different planetary positions, like the sun in the 8th house. What does that mean? So, but that's Aaron Rodgers in a nutshell for the sun in Sagittarius. So join us for our next video. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott.